Hello, and welcome back to ThoughtBot's AI in Focus, where we dive into the latest tools, techniques, refactorings, processes, everything to do with different AI tools and techniques. I'm Chad Pytel, ThoughtBot CEO, founder, and a developer, and I am joined by...
Hello, everyone. My name is Matheus Richard. I'm a senior developer here.
And it's not your first time on this show, so welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
So one of the things, what we're going to be doing today is actually working in a Rails app with what is a really sort of common problem in a lot of Rails apps, and that is the idea of a God class or a large class. I think people call it a God class because it like knows everything about everything and is huge. But we've got one of those in our application. To be honest, it's not as bad as many applications. But Matheus, you were talking about it with team members at ThoughtBot. And we thought it'd be fun to bring this to the show and work on it today. And in terms of how AI factors in, we're going to talk through the large class and talk about ways that we would strategize to clean some of it up. But then we'll also compare and contrast and use Copilot and that kind of thing to see what suggestions it has, and then what helping us put together a plan to do those refactorings, right?
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Cool. So as always, we are monitoring the chat. If you've got any questions, comments, suggestions along the way, feel free to ask or suggest, and we'll see it. So we're working inside of the application that we often work on this stream, and that is Hub, our internal system for scheduling and messaging at ThoughtBot, and sales and that kind of thing. It's sort of a one big system in and of itself. It is like a God system. And so it's probably no surprise that there's a God class in there. There's actually probably more than one. There's probably one for like each piece of the domain. But there's a big one here, and that is the person class. ThoughtBot is all about people. And so the person class is doing a lot.
which is a common problem. Like the user class, which is person in our case, often
Right.
gets big. So that's one classic God object.
Yeah. It's actually interesting in Hub here we have logins are separate from the person. So there actually is a user object which just actually is very focused. It just is the login system, the login record. And then a person has a user. And that is because it is possible to have people that we want to know about and that kind of thing that are not logging in to this system.
Right. Yeah. I remember talking with coworkers about this. Like, there's probably a reason for this separation, which sounds nice, but in practice, most applications don't do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, like, why? And also the naming. Often I would name the logging aspect of it account, maybe, and
Right.
user would be the actual
Mm-hmm.
what we have
Mm-hmm.
for a person here. But I do like that separation, how it's named.
So this class is 864 lines long, which it's too long. Don't get me wrong, but it could be a lot bigger.
I've seen worse. I
Yeah,
agree.
me too. Me too. um, so let's start off just by doing sort of a walkthrough of the class, sort of walking through it, calling out what we notice along the way, talking about different things. If you notice if you're watching and you notice anything jump out at you in terms of wondering why something is the way that it is, feel free to drop a question in the chat. And it doesn't need to be strictly just about this class or that, but this concept of refactoring or best practices in general. Anything you want to share or questions you have along the way, feel free to drop them in the chat.
Also, Chad, if you can close the terminal in your editor, that would
Yeah,
help.
yeah, good idea. So this class, first thing that jumps out at me is we're already one of the strategies is maybe introducing modules or something like that, mix-ins. Some of it's already doing that a little bit, but a lot of them are to provide functionality from other libraries, not necessarily as an extraction for code.
Right.
The two that are sort of that thing are the filters person. Um, we have a lot of searching functionality within Hub, and so we have a module. We have a directory structure for where each class that has filtering can put all of the. So if we go over there, what that looks like is it's a concern that includes the filterific configuration for that. Filterific is the gem that we're using for filtering. And then the classes, the scopes that are used by filterific for doing that filtering. So we have pulled all those out into a separate module.
Yeah. I also see some things from external gems, like you mentioned, like Postgres searching and
Mm-hmm.
friendly ID, even action text,
Right.
and active storage as well.
This is actually a third-party gem for, I believe, for it's called Active Storage Support, and it adds support for base 64, incoming base 64
Mhm.
to active storage, if I remember right. So then we have a bunch of constants that are at the top of the class.
Right. Yeah. The second one is sounds like options for maybe
Yeah.
a enum or some drop down field on the view.
Mm-hmm. I believe it's for it's actually both. It's sort of like it is a field on the I believe it's a field on person, Actually, you know what? It's not. It's a separate thing called travel preference. And
Oh,
um, so a person has one travel preference, and and so that's interesting to me that the constant for the values of what a travel preference can be are on person and not
right.
on the travel preference itself.
Sounds like this is something that was extracted. Like maybe it started on person and then was moved to a different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I actually think
And
what's going on here is so these are the options on a travel preference. There's the enum. Um,
mhm.
these values here are the travel needed for a project values, and then a person can have a travel preference. So travel preference can be on a project for what its needs are, and people for what your preferences to travel for a project are. And so these are the options that a person can choose.
Oh, I see. And the project might have different options within
Mm-hmm.
the enum.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then image variants for active storage,
Right.
and then indexable attributes. And
Sounds
so
like.
this is actually used here, and we have an Elasticsearch instance where a lot of objects in this system get extracted, like a version of them get stored for quick search. And so these indexable attributes are, whoops, if there's any change to any of those ones, that's a key that it's going to reindex in the Elasticsearch.
I see.
That's the last constant there.
And then now a lot of associations and
Mm-hmm. So the first two things are the friendly ID definition. Whoops. Oh, I accidentally, or you or I accidentally clicked on something to. It's okay. Uh, the I think it was me actually, because you're in pencil mode.
yeah.
So friendly ID provides the functionality to create slugs for an active record object automatically. So this is saying, okay, you want to create your slug off the name field and some configuration for that. And then Paper Trail provides versioning of things. And then the association. So you can see there are a lot of associations still
Yeah.
going.
I did a rough count. I think it was like 40 something.
Mm-hmm. This is a good indicator of what we mean by a God object, right? I think and that's probably maybe the distinction between just a large class and a God object. You can have a large class that is like doing too much or that kind of thing, but uh, um, we might
And a
use the term
specific
God object
domain.
when it's like connected to everything and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, and the problem with God objects is that they have this black hole effect because they touch everything and they are so massive that they start pulling things
Mm-hmm.
to them. So you don't know where to put something. Guess where it will end up, and it just
Right,
keeps getting bigger.
right. Now, and the I think the reason why that often happens with a person or a user or whatever is because they're doing everything in the system. So they even just like, well, if you wanted to know who created something, then you're going to create a user relationship on that thing. And
Right.
then the inverse relationship of that is going to end up as a has many on the person. And that's actually
Mm.
what like a lot of these are, is not only what department or region or thing is, but a lot of them are like all the notes that a user has created, all the reservations that the user is. So
Right. Yeah, I think they were mostly has many associations in a couple, maybe
mhm. Yeah,
10
there's
belongs
six
to.
belongs to, and then mostly has many things.
Yeah, there is a. I think there are some or belongs to associations or somewhere, but yeah. Anyway,
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
lot less.
So I'm curious if you have a strategy for dealing with that, of
Do you
like,
mean
this
associations?
user is like, we have this big mass of relationships because the user is creating these things, and we need to tie it back to who did, and you want that inverse of that. um I have a one thought, but do you have any?
Mm. I don't think the association part itself was ever the biggest problem for me to address in a class like this. So it's never been a huge priority for me.
Hmm. Hmm.
So even if a class has like 50 associations, it can be fine if you take care of the rest, like the public API, all the private and public methods, extract those into separate classes. Maybe that can be uh, easier and like it's still ergonomic to
Hmm.
use this code base, even though it's not ideal. But I know that some teams like that have very large projects, like Shopify, for example, often complain about the bidirectional relationships.
Yep.
And why they do is this: they will create a method on the model that has the belongs to association. Like so, for example, instead of having user has many nodes, you would create a like a scope on nodes, like nodes for user, and then you pass in the user.
Hmm. Yeah, that's one strategy. I also say, in general, I try to not just automatically add the inverse of the relationship unless it's actually used in the code. Um, and I don't know, looking at these 50 or however many relationships here, which ones are actually used in the code and which ones were just added because the person adding the user made the or the person made it bidirectional.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you just cargo code these things
Mhm.
and just add it because why not?
Right. Um, okay, then this class does accept nested attributes for user, rotation requests, and social links. After initializing a person, a blank social link callback, a building of a blank social link, if it's a new record, is called. That's actually sort of interesting. I wonder why. Like, that seems like it was created to work around some sort of problem of those being empty.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and then we're starting to get into the callbacks here. So um, we've
Why
got
callbacks?
uh, before validation, after touch. So in general, we do, yeah. So there's only 4 callbacks on this model, which I like to see. We like to keep the callbacks minimal to just have a bunch of side effects that are hard to control or maintain happening every time we use an object. So that's not so bad.
No, in some of them, like are things that I think are actually good use case for callbacks, like generating values from other columns.
Right. And then validations. So
There are a few as well.
then delegating things to the related objects that this thing has. And then we get into the scopes.
Yeah, there's a bunch of filtering and searching
Yeah.
related stuff. I also saw, I think that, yeah, there it is. There are a few like helpers to facilitate sending emails.
Yeah. So
Uh,
this one right here, these two here are doing that.
which couldn't, like, isn't strictly necessary to be here.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I understand the, like, code wise, it would be pretty handy to just call user dots and weekly summary emails.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
that's
I'm
something that
wondering
seems easy
where is
to right.
actually like if is it called from a rake task or yeah, so it's called from a rake task like this.
Right.
Okay.
And only there. Okay.
Yeah, and only there. Yeah. So there's that's doing that. Digest email is doing that. This is actually just this is interesting because now that we're like reviewing it, going through, I realize like from the surface level, the way that these are named, these actually send emails. This one is
Mhm.
named like exactly the same way, except
But yeah.
it's finding the people who should be sent the
Uh,
message digest.
right. Yeah, good point. And that's easy to miss when you're
Mm-hmm.
just scanning.
So, one thing so then we get into a bunch of scopes that are used for like finding all of a certain type of person. So someone who's the people who are billable, the people who are employees, the people who are active or inactive. The I do like how like, and we've tried to do this throughout this application where like there is the actual thing that knows about whether someone is an employee or active or billable is on a position model, and instead of like duplicating the logic of that scope, we're using merge to bring in that scope
Right.
here into this query.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, because basically the whole logic lives there and not here. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
just simplifying the query for us.
There's a bunch of these, I think. So we have with
Oh,
skill.
yeah, that one is interesting on line 312, where 1 equals 0. I think this predates probably the non method on
Yeah.
active records classes.
Right. Right. Yes, that line was written 9 years ago. You can see it at the bottom of the get plane there.
Mhm.
9 years ago,
Right.
that line. Amazing. Interesting thing about this is this with skill and with skills sounds very similar to something I think I saw over here in the. Okay. So this one has a with skills and interests. And then it uses the with skills scope, which is back in the person class right here.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, this sounds like searching, like even the operator, like or and.
Mm-hmm. With all skills. Okay. Email listed publicly with downtime next week. Okay, we're through the scope sort of finder query methods now. In general, I'm pretty. I think we're maybe all pretty strict about trying to keep things that are similar together in a class. So that's why I'm
Right.
saying like, oh, we're through this area now because I feel pretty confident that there might be one or two things stray in somewhere, but in general, the class is probably going to be organized by the different things.
We're halfway through.
We're halfway through the class. Okay, so now what we're getting into is like they're not scopes to find people, but they are things that aren't relationships, but act like that. Like, so this is finding the recent project advisors. Actually, this one does return people. Um,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah,
for
but
a person. So the recent project advisors for a person, the recent teammates of a person.
that one returns projects though online 449.
449. Oh yeah, then this one returns projects. So it's a little bit like another relationship to projects.
Should it be a relationship though?
It could be implemented as a relationship.
Is one of the things that the relationships, even though they sometimes are costly, they do make it easier to eager load records.
Mm-hmm.
And with a method like this, it's I think it's still possible if you really want to, but it's harder to eager load
Mm-hmm.
this.
So now we're sort of getting into the actual like methods for operating on a person. Um, so this gives you the actually this is like the list of people who should be notified when this person schedules time off. Um, but then we get into the first name, last name, initials, first position of a person, whether they're working today, whether they're working now, whether they will be working at a given time,
Right.
what days of the week they work, whether they have positions active during a date
Certain period.
range, whether a particular date is a work day. And so I think like this batch, especially when you get to these methods, it becomes a little bit more obvious. Like there's a batch of things here that all are related to one concept, which is like when people are working. That might be
Yeah.
something that
To keep
could,
in mind.
yeah, last day of the working week, because some people have uh, a different schedule than others.
Anniversary.
So then we get into sort of the image stuff. Everyone has an image URL, but then they have the web image and then a web image URL. So So the 2s on this class is overridden to be the name, and then a lot of things in this system have a toScheduleParam method, and you can call that, and it'll give you the parameter that we use when we make a schedule URL. Whether the person's willing to travel, their Google Access token, that's interesting, and their Google session.
Current project. Huh. I thought we had seen that before.
This is current projects. The other one was like current non-client projects
Oh,
or
I
something
see.
like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So this is reports. So a person has a relationship to direct reports. This I don't know what this is doing. What is that doing?
Can a report not be a team member?
Yeah, I guess that's what that means. Whether the person is a manager, what their time zone is, their local time, which is the time in their zone, time zone difference in seconds. So abilities are the skills you have. It's the word we use for the skills that a person has. So that's that. Meetup names is the list, the names of the meetups that a person organizes. You might
Oh,
not know we have meetup functionality in Hub that we no longer
I,
use.
I did not. I must use it.
Yeah, that save and new search. These are part of the API that is established in the that new search searchable module. It says like the classes that
What's
embed this should implement these things.
I
So
see.
that's what those are. Save and new search as new search JSON and new search type are. I still love that this is called new search because we used to have an
Right.
old search and that uses, though it's called search, and we haven't replaced it and renamed this yet.
Right.
People have markdown of a professional bio, and so this is a method professional bio HTML for
That one
getting
is
the HTML.
interesting.
Yeah.
Like rendering in the model.
The public skills, which are the skills that the person is experienced in, but that are marked as featured, and also that they're interested in doing. We've got some other two methods here. These are for mentioning a person in a Trix rich text editor. Attachable plain text representation. Oh, that's also for Trix mentions. Interests.
So,
That's the things that the topics in our messaging system that a person has subscribed to.
yeah, and that it is for all kinds of models because
Yeah.
there's like interests for messages only right below that.
Right. This is used for these methods are used for like the digests of that a person receives, but I also think they're used on the search form. You can say like, I want to do a search, but I want to search just for the things that I'm subscribed to. Like, I know I saw this message somewhere. I can't find it now.
Right.
Where
Yeah.
do I do it?
Or maybe even on the dashboard, possibly. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think we see our like interest
Right.
events on the
Right.
dashboard. So
Mm-hmm.
that might be a concept in here. Just seeing all of those
Mm-hmm.
interest prefix makes me like my spider sense tingle. Like
Yeah.
there's something in here that could be
Yeah.
extracted.
I'm pretty sure that this interested messages sense though is used for the digest. Yeah, it's used for only in the digest mailer.
And is the digest sent daily or weekly?
It's sent daily on days that you're working. So that's why it takes in the value, because it's actually it's like since the last one you received.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're off, you get the digest of all the messages and everything that happened while you were off.
Yeah, that's pretty flexible. It would also allow you to change the digest uh,
Mm-hmm.
recurrence.
I bet these messages are just used for the digest as well, like other messages since then, because at the bottom of the digest it says like, here's the things that were also posted that you aren't like interested in, and it just summarizes them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are we tired yet? We're almost done. We've got about 150 lines.
I will start at the 300 level.
Okay, recurring sign up events. I guess this is the events that someone is signed up to that are recurring. Reservation types is the types of reservations that this person is allowed to use. Do they have a Thoughtbot email? Default billing structure. That's super interesting. That is. Oh, so it's like, what is that used for? I bet it's used for when salespeople generate a contract. It's possible for a team to have a
Right.
default billing structure for their contracts, and so it's the one
Interesting.
for their team.
I also found Thoughtbot email very specific.
It's used for the hiring functionality, I believe. So if they, we don't like, you can see candidates who apply to our jobs. And so if someone who's already at Thoughtbot applies to one of the jobs, we want that to be confidential. So their
I
hub
see.
does not keep track of those candidates.
And looking at the email is the only way we know someone works here.
Yeah.
Okay. If it works, it works.
Mm-hmm. This subscribed interest IDs is interesting to me in that it wasn't grouped with all the other subscription and interest stuff.
Yeah. Some of them are lost, but in general, they're pretty chunked together
Mm-hmm.
by some kind of theme.
Yeah. Okay. Director from hierarchy. I like how someone has just like been like, hey, we're doing this, but now we have the ability to do a one-line method definition in Ruby. So let's do that. That's funny. I'm still not quite sure how I feel about this syntax as an aside.
I love it.
You love
So
it?
I do. Yeah, I was on the Ruby issue tracker for a long time, just waiting for this to drop. This and the Ruby 3.4 default parameter it. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that one has been so long that it was proposed, and then it was rejected, and then it was brought up again. And now that whenever I can, I use it. No pun intended.
Speaking of which, here it is right
Yeah,
here.
there we go. And it was me.
It was you. There you go. 1 month ago, you used it. That's great.
I didn't even remember. But in this case, I actually hate that this has to be the best syntax I could come up with, because there isn't like a negative version of nil in Ruby, and there isn't also take until, so it had to, that felt clunky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we are basically done with the public API.
Okay, that's the public. As we get onto the private method, so these should all be methods that are used by other methods that we just went through, or
Right.
other functionality.
Yeah, some stuff from validations, it seems, or like queries just to know how to run a callback or not. Quote.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. Like SQL thing.
Yeah, I wonder where it's
It
being
almost,
used.
yeah, it sounds like something during a migration. It's a class method also.
Right.
What if you search for dot quote? Does it help? There are other similar ones. Product and ability. Maybe.
I wonder whether this is even used.
It seems like on that old migration or not. No. I had no idea.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
Possibly not used.
Set user from name. Update from positions. So a person has a bunch of positions or one position that is active, and for performance reasons, a bunch of that information is cached on the person from their current position. And so there's a callback that basically is like, every time the positions change, do this bunch of caching on the person.
You see.
Anniversaries, generating calendar access token, and then a method to return, to actually just ask whether it's during the person's business hours, which is used by all that working stuff that we saw. Okay, that's the end of the class.
Done. Now we just have to refactor it.
Yeah. So let's
I think
bring up.
it's worth mentioning, Chad, how a class gets this big. What would you say? How did it get this big?
Well, I think one answer is this is like a 10-year-old application
Right.
that does a lot, and is a big thing that a lot of stuff touches, or that interacts with a lot of things. And so it is natural to be like, well, this is the person that, we need to put this functionality here because it makes the most sense to have it from here. And then that just keeps on happening over time and adds up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one line a day, and eventually you'll see it. But also, I thought you would say that we just were preparing for this live stream, like all of those 10 years. We were just.
Say one day we're going to do a live stream about a large class. So we need to be working today to create that large class.
And it will be like a real world project. So yeah, we just put in the work.
I love that. That's funny. So shall we bring up, what is this? Oh, this is from a previous live stream where we never cleared the chat. So what do we want to do? Do we want to just ask you know to review this class?
Yeah. If this was a client project, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't start refactoring it right away. I'd probably to do what we just did, like checking what it does, try to find groups or chunks of code that are related, finding themes, all that kind of stuff. Maybe even add comments between
Mm-hmm.
sections, and then find opportunities for refactoring. Probably starting with the easiest ones, and that means like things that probably won't break
Mm-hmm.
anything else. Especially if it's self-contained, it's only using this file. Those are probably easier to extract.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we can ask it like find the opportunities for refactoring, or find the smells you can see from this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm so can you review this person class and identify any opportunities for refactoring or code smells that might be improved?
Oh, yeah, that's pretty general. Let's see how it does. And it already has a lot of stuff to say.
So the first thing, number one, is God object single responsibility principle violations. So that's what this live stream is about today. So at least it got that.
Yeah,
And we didn't prompt it with that, but it says this is a
yeah,
classic
yeah.
example of a God object that has grown too large and taken on too many responsibilities.
Uh, Employee contractor, image processing. I like how the themes are in there,
Mm-hmm.
and that will help extract functionality.
So it's suggesting that we could extract service objects like a person notification service, which has the methods for sending weekly summary, send conflict emails.
Yeah, yeah, those are pretty simple, even though I might not call it service.
Mm-hmm. Extract an image processing concern. So this would be a module that just has the functionality for image processing in it.
Mhm.
So it is interesting to me that, and I don't necessarily think this is wrong. It's just interesting that it automatically, like, you could actually use modules for both of these things.
Right. Yeah.
But for this
Yeah.
one, it said extracting a service object. And for this one, it's suggesting doing a module.
Yeah. That's a good point.
This one, it's doing a module extracting the calendar time zone logic, replacing
Yeah.
complex. Oh, you're going to say something?
No, I thought it was the current the person time zone module is a bit. I thought it was simple. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's a good first step, like to extract code to a different file, so just you can look at a thing without scrolling. At least for me, that helps. Like it fits on my brain RAM
Right.
memory.
Right.
But I think there's probably a bigger abstraction than that
Mm-hmm.
for that particular case, like knowing the person's schedule and working hours and all that.
Right. I also think that I generally don't like just moving functionality to a module that then just gets mixed in. I would prefer to write that as a class that you're giving a person to and then
Mhm.
asking things of it. And I think part of the reason why is that sometimes you move things into a module and they become just one line in and they sort of get lost there, because you're all the calling code still just says person dot whatever.
Right.
Whereas when you look at calling code, it's that is instantiating a class and passing it, like it's much more obvious. Oh, I need to go look at this. I know exactly where it lives, and that kind of
Right.
thing. Or as opposed to being
Yeah.
like, oh, this is a method on person, and then going and not being able to find it and realizing,
Mhm.
oh, it's in this module.
Yeah. I do think that it might be a good first step. Like I said, just to have that separate. Maybe it's a commit in a larger PR.
Mm-hmm.
You're factoring. Yeah, I agree. I prefer even testing is easier, just passing a model or a double to a class instead of instantiating an actual reuser.
Yeah. This one's interesting. It says simplify complex validation. The message preference validation is overly complex.
Ooh.
So add a method, send method digest, send individual methods.
Where is
Instead
that?
of the current validation, use what is
Is it hallucinating?
I
Digest.
okay. Validates inclusion of send message digest in true unless send individual methods.
Oh, I see. And that there's a second one.
Send individual methods in true unless send message digest. Either send the message digest or send individual methods must be selected.
And it proposed that we merge those two together in validation and
Mm-hmm. And a like a setting on there instead of
right.
two booleans.
I think I agree with this, but
Mm-hmm.
it would take more than we would have to
Do a
change the
migration, introduce a new field, do a migration.
yeah. It's not as simple as it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, yeah. The view will change to the until the database column.
Right. But that's interesting. That's not something that jumped out at us while we were reviewing.
Yeah.
Extract constants to configuration. Oh, no.
Yeah.
I would not do this.
Yeah.
So,
No. That yeah. Well, now that I notice, it's at config/person config.
oh, wow, yeah. That is interesting. And now this isn't exactly what I originally thought it was, which I was very opposed to.
Yeah, I thought
Uh,
it was just a concern that we
it
would include.
Right, exactly. That's what I thought it was. But this is actually a whole nother class, and then you start calling it, person config colon hub person slug.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I don't think I would do it.
No. And I don't even know if those constants are related at all, and putting them together just seems random
Right.
and asks for other constants
Right.
in
Whereas
the future.
I could see, however, being like, okay, these indexable attributes and this thing, is that a pattern that everything that does search, like how many of them look exactly like this?
Hmm.
And if that's the case, then that's an opportunity to be like, well, there's a default implementation of this, and maybe the indexable attributes are not a constant on the class, but in a config for the search or something like that, where you say like,
Right.
this is for this model we index these things, and there's a default implementation.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Okay, remove unnecessary comments and simplify. Instead of complex has many with lambda, consider extracting to a method or scope in the project's model.
I see. It,
Mm-hmm.
the association lambda just stream it out to a scope that on the project. I see.
Yeah.
That sounds reasonable.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so key refactoring recommendations break into multiple models. Consider person profile, person schedule, person employment.
We have things related to this. I think
Mm-hmm.
employment. Don't we have an employment type or something like that?
We do, yeah. And I think you're on the right track there, that rather than breaking that out into a new model, my first instinct would be, should these live on the other model? Like, is there a model that already exists that these things should
Mhm.
actually live on?
Yeah, we are using ask mode, so I don't know if it can search auto files. So maybe that's why it suggested.
Yeah, yeah. Use form objects for complex nested attribute handling. Extract service objects for business logic operations. There's actually not too many business logic operations on this.
All right. Yeah, it's just a lot of association and querying methods.
Right. Use decorators for presentation logic, image URLs, formatted names. There actually is a person presenter.
I wonder if it's big too.
That is 138 lines.
Okay, that's not too bad.
But that's a good point. There's definitely there's probably some of those things that could be on the presenter instead. I think this is actually one of the problems I run into with presenters is like, you start moving things into a presenter and then it's like, oh, but I need this in the email as well as the view.
Right.
Okay, that means the mailer needs to wrap the object, and then it just like the presenter ends up getting used like everywhere, and then you never know, is what I have the real object or is it a
Model.
presenter?
Yeah, yeah. That was exactly my experience with presenters, and what I thought helped in a previous
Mm-hmm.
company was not putting presenter in the name. Like, what's the concept you are trying to
Yeah.
present and name that thing, and that would make the API surface a lot smaller because there's a name in there, and
Mm-hmm.
what doesn't fit will end up in a different presenter kind of object. And
Mm-hmm.
in this way, I was just trying to steer the team to build more portals, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Use concerns for shared behavior modules and consider value objects for things like time zones, names, etc.
I could see an object for names because we
Mm-hmm.
get like initials and first, last name, and those seem easy at first, but until you have like names that don't easily map to first, last, and initials. I think there's a gem like name of person, something like that, that does
Mm-hmm.
exactly this. Uh, but yeah, that's actually a good call.
One thing that I struggle with when trying to do that is, so say you introduce a value object which is like name and it has like first name, last name, initials on it. If at the end of the day you just end up adding delegators to person or methods on person that call that thing, um, in order to avoid law of Demeter violations, like what
Mm,
was the point of that?
I
Um,
see.
I, I'm not saying it's wrong. I just, that's one of the things that is always in the back of my mind when I start doing that.
Yeah, I don't think I follow the law of Demeter that strictly. Like, I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
add like if I have a name object, and I would not add a person first name delegator.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be too much. Like it's fine to call dot name dot first dot name dot last, things
Mm-hmm.
like that. Dot name dot
Mm-hmm.
initials. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
fine.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. As long as you like commit to it, I think it's a little hard to be consistent.
Yes. And I think all code bases have some amount of inconsistency in
Yeah.
lots of ways.
Yeah. Um,
Should we ask it to do it, to do something?
yeah, what do we want to ask it to do?
Yeah, I thought that even anniversaries, now that I see, could be a value object. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
maybe instead of we deciding, we could let it decide. Like, what do you think it's the easiest, or the what should be the priority in our well, we want something that can be merged, like a small PR that already
Yeah.
something
What do
like
you
that.
think is the best? So, of those suggestions, what do you think is the most reasonable
Right, that could
to
work.
tackle first?
It should we change it to agent mode?
Yeah.
I think it might be helpful, like if it wants to check the colors.
Yeah. So, agent mode, for those who aren't familiar, uh, is able to look at the whole code base, I guess is the reason why we switched, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but it also has access to tools. So if you
Right.
needed to,
Right.
like you can search for the specs and related files, but also like if we needed to check an API on the internet, I think you can do that. You can run
Mm-hmm.
the actual specs after refactoring.
So it's suggesting that extracting the image processing concern is the most reasonable to tackle, and here's why. Low risk, it's fairly isolated and doesn't have complex dependencies on other parts of the system. Clear boundaries, immediate value, it removes 50 lines from the main class with minimal effort. Easy to test, image processing logic is straightforward to test in isolation. No breaking changes. This refactoring won't affect the public API of the person class. Why is that?
I think because it's just a concern, right? So,
Oh, okay. Yes. Yep. Yep.
so in theory, we wouldn't even need to change any tests. I think the time zone scheduling area was interesting, and the email one also,
Mm-hmm.
but I would like to see it go with a different implementation than just a concern.
Right. For the images too, or you think concern is the right approach for the image stuff?
I think for the image, I think I would have to have a closer look
Mm-hmm.
because the image variance constant doesn't seem 100% related to like web image URL. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I know that they are related in the sense that they're active storage connected,
Mm-hmm.
but on a higher level, one is more of a configuration while the other is like there are other considerations. I think the web image might look if you have a public image available, and I don't know, like it seems more specific to me.
So yeah, this is, do you have a public image? If so, return that. Otherwise, use the default image for the person, because it is possible to like um have a different, actually I was about to say that and now I don't know if it's true, to have a different image internally
Internally,
versus externally.
yeah, but which is I think the point is more you can have a different image externally
Mm-hmm.
basically, because
Mm-hmm.
the internal image might get used if the
Right.
public is
Right.
not isn't set. So like I said, I don't know if this is strictly related to
Mm-hmm.
image variance. I don't know. The first one feels more like a configuration to me,
Yeah.
but I could see them going together depending on how it's named. What's the concept that we're representing? But again, the concerns are, I think, are the lower hanging fruit. It's easy
Hmm.
to do that.
I'm curious of asking, and if anybody watching in the chat has things to ask, feel free to drop them in the chat. But I'm curious, is there another strategy instead of extracting a concern that could potentially be good? The problem with asking a question like this is LLMs are always going to say yes,
Yeah,
usually.
it will tend to agree. But let's see what it says. And it will just list all kinds of
Yeah.
refactoring techniques.
See, it stopped using the images as an example.
Yes.
Would you like me to implement a person query object to extract the scope methods? It's probably the safest, highest impact refactoring we could start with. I'm not sure I believe that.
Right. And it changed the opinion.
Well, let's pick something to have it do. What do we wanna have it do?
Uh, can you go back to where it lists the suggestions? I think the email notifications is probably very easy to do,
Mm-hmm.
but if we don't like a service object, we'll have to just tell it what we want. It will do. It's probably
Yeah, what would you name this instead?
um, that's a good point. Almost seems like this is a mailer,
Mm-hmm. Well,
but
that's what I was wondering, and I really don't do this, and I'm trying to think of why. Why wouldn't you put this on the mailer itself? So where is the oh, I accidentally closed the person class.
I think this is using our rake task, so we probably call it daily or on a cron basis.
Mm-hmm.
But yes,
So the class is weekly summary mailer.
so we have a mailer.
So this is my question, and it really is like I'm not sure that I've ever thought about this before, but this is just a class. It happens to be a mailer,
Mm-hmm.
but you could put a class level method on this that
That does it for a
that does
particular
it
person.
for that does it.
I guess I'm not following what the class method will contain. The code that is
It
on
would
person.
contain this code.
Oh yeah, because this takes no arguments. I see. Yeah.
Right. It takes no arguments. I don't know that I've ever done something like that before, but there is no reason I don't think. Well, like technically you can't.
Yeah, yeah. There's something about mailers that I've seen that people usually tend to put one method per mailer, which isn't necessary because like you can have as many as you want, and each one sends a different email.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this could be here. This could even be a different mailer, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
or a different that has all these weekly things, all of those methods. But yeah, I think I thought initially that that method had any connection to the person, but no, it's
No,
all
it's just doing it
contained.
for people.
Yeah, and it assumes the week is the previous week. So yeah, there's literally no arguments. Good point. Probably we would name it differently. It just like the weekly summary mailer dot send weekly summary emails. Like there's a lot of repetition in the words like mailer and weekly.
We have in the chat a good suggestion that we accidentally were not including. I guess you can say hash code base to have it
To include.
in the
Oh, that's
ask.
fancy.
When you ask, you can have it include the whole
I
code
did not
base as
know that.
context. No, I didn't know that either. I know you could like
I know there's a
add
div for
context, but
some.
that is by default. If you click on it, it just does the the selector here.
If
But
you
yeah,
yeah, if you type hash, you'll see probably other things. I know that there is a way to include like the diff, the
yeah,
get
here
diff
it is, code
automatically.
base. That's
Huh,
good. That's a
that's
good tip. Thanks.
thank you.
You also say, but what if the notification is an SMS? The one app that I worked on that used SMS, that I thought was interesting. I've worked on multiple apps that used SMS, but one that was interesting was we actually tried to use the same pattern for SMS as with mailers, so that there was like a consistent API around notifications in the app. I sort of liked that.
Yeah, that sounds like the noticed gem.
Yeah. Okay, we're not liking any of these suggestions, is what I'm hearing. But
Yeah, not as is. I would like to see the take on the maybe uh, the calendar, like the working currently, like
this one, yeah.
this. Yeah, but not as a concern. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a value object or a different class that could be extracted? I think that would be interesting to see. Almost like a person has a working schedule, and we can ask it those questions. In these situations, I often try to see what the language the business uses for this. So, like
Mm-hmm.
when we're in a scheduling session, do we how do we talk about that? I think maybe just is that person working now, or that would be basically what we have today. But sometimes the business has clues on the language that they use.
So it's suggesting a person schedule object, person time zone object, or a working hours value object.
Huh, working hours.
So actually, I'm gonna
Did you retry with the code base as a argument?
yeah. And then while that's working, I'm gonna bring up a class that I know about in this app called Agenda.
Oh,
And it's
which
not an
is
active
a
record model. It's just a
right.
plain Ruby object. And it has 309 lines already. But it has what it primarily is. It's actually a pretty good example of a class where it is doing a bunch of business logic. You give it a person, a schedule, and the week, and then it has a bunch of methods for like figuring out stuff about the week. How many total assigned work days are there? How many are expected? How many are tentative? Are there available days left in the week? like a bunch of stuff about which assignments the another user should be able to see.
Do
Um,
we?
mhm.
What's schedule in this context? Is it another model, like
It
another
is,
active record?
yeah, it is. There's a schedule model, which is also a Ruby object, not an active record model,
Hmm.
and it pulls basically you give it a certain number of people, a start date and an end date, and it gives you all the assignments, reservations, like
Yes. Yeah, that was the kind of thing that I was hoping it would suggest.
mhm.
So, is that logic? Should that logic be in some of this class?
I think because agenda is about a specific week and like the days of the week and what's happening there, I think that that's not that doesn't really um make sense. This is not about it. Uh the
It's almost like the I'm thinking that this agenda class now it's too specific. It's more like a week agenda than
yeah.
an agenda, and that could be like a larger agenda class that deals with any given period of time.
Mhm. Mhm. Um
What did it say?
person availability.
I like that.
Actually, basically
Almost.
every so we use availability to mean is someone available for this potential project that we have.
And it does use the agenda.
It
And
does
this
use
is
the
not a
agenda because it says this project is going to like start um on a particular date range. Um so what's the first week of that, and is the person available then?
it's interesting that this is inside a matchers module, which I assumed it was a spec related, but now
It's
I'm
actually
thinking, oh,
not. What it is we have a system of saying like who are all the potential people who could work on this project, and then there's a matchers, which are availability, region, skills they have, team they have, and travel. And so everyone who's potentially able to work on a project, every matcher is run over them, and we can generate whether they're a match for the project or not. So I like the word availability for this, but we're already using that term for something else.
how is this different from checking if the person is working today or not? Isn't it just a date range that's smaller? Because this one seems like it finds for yeah. There's this thing of finding the first weekday, but aside aside from that, it seems to me that they are similar.
I think they are similar. I think that in particular, this is like this inherits from a base matcher. So it really is a class that's built for
Yeah, for a different
matching
purpose.
people. Um, but that's a good point. Like, hey, we use availability about that, but it's under a module. Like we can reuse like availability for an individual
As a
person
top level.
as a top
Yeah.
level thing. That would be
Or
fine.
at the very least, at person colon availability if we
Mm-hmm.
really need it.
Um, is available today one of the oh it's
Where is it? It's using working today.
Okay, so I see. I'm starting to see what it's actually talking about introducing person time zone and person availability, and when you give person availability a person, it actually uses that time zone class
Hmm.
as well. So this is strategy 2 for separating time zone and availability value objects. What is suggested at first was this person schedule thing, which
Does
has
it all.
which does it all.
I like to think that time zone is a specific thing that could be separate. It
Mm-hmm.
can be used. Yeah, it makes sense. You have to take that into consideration, but it could be separate from the availability or schedule thing. Like if I just want to show a person's current time on their profile, like
Right.
that should be separate.
One thing I'm noticing is that like it's changing. It's significantly refactoring. Like, so instead of time zone difference in seconds, which takes a user, it's introducing offset from, which takes a time zone. And so the code, like, that's a bigger change.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Like it's 2 or 3 steps ahead of the refactoring process. It
Mm-hmm.
just didn't extract it. It also refactored the code.
Yeah, so I don't feel that makes me feel less comfortable being like, yeah, just go ahead and do this because I'm not
Right.
optimistic that it's not going to break something in the process.
Uh, yeah, we can try explicitly saying not change the implementation details, but I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay.
Because it's hard to like, how does it change anything then? Like what it can change and what it can't if it's extracting a
Hmm.
class. But yeah, go ahead with the prompt. Let's see what it.
Okay. Let's uh, extract a value object just for the time zone. Be sure to run the specs and verify they pass at, at each step of the way. Introduce new specs just for that new value object.
Do you want to say that it should run only the person specs, or do you want to be like generic about it that it will figure out what's relevant?
I actually don't know off the top of my head what it will do. We could add relevant specs.
Yeah, because if it tries to run the whole suite,
Yeah.
it will be too much. Oh, let's see
Uh,
what it does. I was,
write the specs first.
oh, good point.
Okay. So these are some of the things that I'm including here are things that we've found actually sometimes live on this stream about different ways to get it to behave. um,
I like how it creates the to dos now.
mhm. Yeah. So, it collapsed them.
Yeah, you can click on the top, like right below chat. There's a to dos, and you can click there and see what are the steps.
Oh, okay, cool. Ooh, it created a value objects directory.
That's interesting, especially because that no one else did that before.
So it's actually doing not what we told it to do, because we said just the time zone stuff, and I can see it's
Business hours.
working today,
Working
working
today.
now, working at.
Yeah, that's too much. Do you want to cancel that, or will you let it go off the
Um,
rails?
I was curious. So where did it create that value object?
I think I
Under
think
services.
service. No, no, it's a
Nope,
top left dude.
it's top level.
Side app. And it created a person schedule spec. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely not what
So
we
that's
asked
the name of the object that
it will create.
it's creating. So it has a time zone. It returns the person's time zone when set, returns the team time zone when the person's. I just want to check to see whether it's named schedule, but actually everything here makes sense for what we wanted to do.
Yeah, working today, it's schedule related, while local time is time zone related. Yeah, it's more of a schedule related object.
Yeah. What do you want to do?
I would I would try to start over, like
Yeah.
be more specific, like just the time zone stuff, not anything else related to schedule. And if you yeah, if you want to be very explicit, like just say it has to be value object semantics, like be immutable, blah blah blah, or even say use data define in Ruby, and that will.
Okay. Yeah. So extract a value object using what is it? Data.
Yeah, data dot define.
Yeah. For just the time zone functionality.
Is that enough?
Let's see.
Are we clear?
So one of the things that I am wondering about in the back of my head is, are we just too picky, or do we actually know what we're doing better than this does?
It's easy to judge, right?
Right. Great idea. Well, of course, using data define is a modern Ruby approach for value objects. Let me create a focused person time zone value object using data define.
And should it be a person time zone? That's my question. Like, could it be just a time zone? But I
Yeah.
guess in this case, it makes sense. Like, I don't know if anything
Doesn't
else.
time zone? Oh, is it time with zone? Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Time zone
time
is
with
an
time.
active support object.
It's probably more like a local time. Yeah, it depends. What methods is this going to include?
It's right now. It's still working on creating the specs. Okay, so it's creating it now.
No, I think time zone is actually a fair object to have.
Okay, so it has a new. It creates a person time zone with person's time zone. Is immutable. It has a zone, returns the person's time zone when set, returns the team's time zone when the person's time zone is nil.
Should it do that? It feels like enough too much.
Well, how would it otherwise? What are you suggesting?
I think the person would have a time zone object, and then the team would have another time zone object, and then the person might have a method that checks for their own time zone or falls back to the team. That seems like a smaller API for the actual time zone
Mm-hmm.
object. But again, let's see the code a bit more before.
Okay, yeah, let's so we'll allow it to run these specs. They're going to fail. So it's about to create.
Ooh, that's a bunch of comments.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Could you close the chat so I can read the whole thing?
um, so I think what you're suggesting is this class wouldn't know about a person at all. It would
Yes, I
just
think
be about
time.
comparing times between different zones.
Yes, maybe. Uh, I'm wondering if we use all of this API, like, do we need same zone? Could we use like equals?
Right, exactly. So if it was just the time zone, there might already be unequals though.
No, I think yeah. Data define will define all the value object semantics for you, like equals and immutability, all of that. But
Right.
that's
So you
why
wouldn't need to say other person time zone dot zone.
yes,
Like,
yeah, just compare the zones if you
mm-hmm.
want to. Also, like pluralize, why?
Yeah, that's used by this, but I don't know why. Oh, it's re-implementing pluralize, similar to
Exactly.
Rails pluralize helper. That's interesting.
This went not like I expected.
Okay, well, the conclusion to this stream is if you have a God class and you need to refactor it, instead of using Copilot, you should hire Thoughtbot. That's the obvious conclusion to
The
this.
whole plan worked then because we 10 years ago we created this code base so that we could promote and advertise Thoughtbot today.
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, in all seriousness, you can work with Thoughtbot to improve your app or bring your new idea to life. Just get in touch with us at thoughtbot.com, which has, we laughed, we cried, we sort of refactored something, but at the end of the day, did nothing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the way I've used this before was like I asked it to generate a plan and
Yeah,
or the possibilities, and I saw what I agreed, and I found things that I didn't see at first. So that part of the process, I think, is still
right,
useful. It's
right.
like pairing with someone and like changing ideas. Implementation wise, I think we had too much of a open scope for the AI to really nail it.
Yeah,
I think if
yeah.
we
I think
decided on
it's a
an
combination of
API,
that and us being particular about the way
yes,
that we write code.
right. Yeah,
which we're
that would
actually
be fun.
working on some, forget what it's called, but instructions for both Copilot and Claude Code, which you can add as context automatically.
Yeah, and it would be fun to see like how differently they behave with and without the instructions once we
Yeah.
have them fully
Yeah,
baked.
once we have that would be interesting to bring to the stream, definitely. Um, okay, well, thank you so much for watching, Mateus. Thank you for joining me once again. I really appreciate it. Uh, we will be back next week. And what I want to do next week is actually build out a new set of features using an LLM functionality. It's been a little while since we did that. One question that I got recently is how do you build a recommendation engine? And I actually said, well, we sort of already did that on the stream, but I think a lot of people don't realize that it's the same technique. And that was when we built out spam detection using embeddings. It's actually the same core of being able to do a recommendation engine. It's just the opposite or matching algorithm. So we're going to do that. And so I hope you all join me for that next week. Mateus, thank you again.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
We'll see you next week.